Please watch the video until the end to witness the full arc of their story and the quiet details that make it unbearable and beautiful. Chapter 1. When the Light Was Generous. He remembers the first time he saw them together. A small diner on the edge of a late summer evening, light pooling on a linoleum counter like forgiveness. He, who had known both of them in different seasons of their lives, saw how their laughter folded into itself, how their hands found a private language without wanting to. They were Mira and Jonah then, reckless in small ways, both carrying pockets of loneliness that fit together by accident. Mira kept a diary she never meant to show anyone. Jonah had a habit of whistling out of tune when he was nervous. The narrator, who has watched them across years the way one watches a slow-burning film, remembers the way their first fight felt like rain. Sudden, loud, then over, leaving the streets slick and sharp. They swore it would be different. They swore many things. Chapter 2. The Shapes of Beginning. In the beginning, their life was composed of small extravagances. They painted a wall a color that did not belong to anything else. Jonah would drive 2 hours for a pie that Mira had mentioned once. Mira learned the names of the plants Jonah rescued from supermarket shelves and kept alive out of spite. The narrator watched them fill a cheap apartment with impossible hopes, as if conviction could be shaped into furniture. They married with little fanfare, because their love felt urgent and plausible and therefore inexhaustible. A child arrived and complicated everything with a tenderness that neither fully understood. Nights that had once been theirs became negotiations. Mornings were made of quick coffee and apologies. The narrator, who could see both the beauty and the fault lines, felt the first unease as a slight tremor beneath the floorboards, barely noticeable but undeniably present. Chapter 3. The Promise of Routine. Routine wrapped itself around them like a familiar coat. It comforted and it restrained. Jonah's work changed him in small increments. He came home with fewer stories and more silence. Mira, who had been an amateur dancer, let her feet forget the floor's memory in favor of schedules and bills. The narrator saw their conversations fray, shorter sentences, an accumulation of unspoken resentments. They tried rituals as if rituals were stitches. A weekly dinner out, a song that would always be theirs, a series of tiny vows made in the dark. But rituals can calcify. They can become proof that something is being done rather than proof that something is felt. Jonah tried to fix things with humor. Mira tried to fix them with earnestness. Both were repairs that required the other side to notice. Sometimes the other side did not. Chapter 4. The Erosion. Erosion begins in the smallest of acts. A missed phone call, a joke that lands without an answer, a party where a glance goes unreturned. He, watching as if from behind a rain-streaked window, noticed how their tenderness lost its weight. The narrator has seen many loves. Some endure storms, others leak. Mira began to catalog disappointments like coins in a jar. Jonah carried the shame of not being enough in the way a gardener carries dead stems. He removed them and hoped new growth would follow. Arguments lost their edges and became monotone exchanges of grievances translated into the slow, bitter arithmetic of time. They both loved, still, but the shape of that love had changed. It no longer fit the lives they were living. Chapter 5. The Reckoning. The night of reckoning arrived not as a thunderclap, but as the last page of a book closed slowly. There was a scene. 2 voices on the edge of collapse, a child asleep in the next room, the television a soft heartbeat in the background. That felt like a courtroom where neither wanted to be prosecutor or defense. They listed offenses and miracles with equal voice, as if aligning memory could somehow determine fact. Mira accused Jonah of forgetting what they had promised each other. Jonah accused Mira of wanting a different map. Both spun truths that were paper-thin and yet real enough to sever. The narrator, who had loved both in different ways, felt his own heart split between them. He wanted to insist that love is not a ledger, but he also knew that a ledger can mark where devotion was spent. They made choices that night that would set the direction of the rest of their lives. Chapter 6. The Quiet Afterwards. time, the great solvent did not erase them. It softened edges, blurred pictures but preserved certain bright details. Jonah's ridiculous rendition of an old song at a wedding, Myra's hands washing dishes with red nail polish chipped at the tip. They separated in ways that were both gentle and irrevocable. The child remained a bridge and a place of negotiation. Custody became the language of care reordered by practicality. The narrator sees them later. A look on a winter street that could have been recognition or a ghost. They exchange small courtesies that once would have been gestures of love. There is tenderness in the aftermath. Not the incandescent kind, but the one that comes from understanding what has been lost and what must be carried forward. He, the narrator, a man who has loved them both as a friend, as a witness, as something like a confessor, knows that some loves are not meant to be sustained but are not failures because they end. They were essential experiments in living for each other. He wonders often if the fairy tale ends because love is flawed or because people are. Both are true, and neither absolves. The truth the narrator carries is simple and stubborn. Love is a series of moments, and the sum of those moments is both the wound and the healing. In the end, they learn to say thank you for what had happened, and to be careful with what they would ask of the future. If you enjoyed this tale, please subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, give a like to the video, comment your thoughts, and share the video with others.